Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Who the F Wrote That. We have our third victim, contestant, which is Derri's read it before. Derri is known for having read series like Discworld, Realm of the Otherlings, and A Song of Ice and Fire an absurd amount of times, even from my perspective, who rereads things an absurd amount of times. And in any normal show, that would be very helpful. But we are going to take all those books that she has read 20 times, and we're going to throw them out the window and see if she can identify quotes from the other books. Derri, would you like to introduce yourself to the people who don't know you? Maybe talk some crap about how you're going to beat Evie and Alan because they only got 4 out of 10. That's not even come on.
But having read things before, I'm hoping I get the bonus question. That's the one. Like if I get nothing else, so long as I get that one, I can leave with my head held high. Because if I don't get that one, that will be hideously embarrassing.
Also, as a reminder, for the bonus question, there are actually 2 points available. 1, if you get that it is the bonus question and all the options I gave you are wrong. And 2, if you can tell me what author it's specifically from. So Derri is hoping to cash out on those points to give her an advantage over Alan, who, of course, could not identify a quote from the Long Price Quartet, as he is a fake fan, and Evie, who could not identify a quote from Bleak Seasons.
Yeah, hoping to get that one. The rest of them, I literally have to pick it up from the zeitgeist.
Yeah, you got to go based on vibe. So, question 1 is, Derri, who the F wrote this line? Words are pale shadows of forgotten names. As names have power, words have power. Words can light fires in the minds of men. Words can wring tears from the hardest hearts. Is it A, Patrick Rothfuss, B, Tad Williams, C, Cormac McCarthy, or D, Christopher Paolini?
Okay. Okay. I don't think it's Paolini because he wrote Aragorn, the dragon one, which doesn't have that kind of flavor of writing, from what I vaguely recall of the one time I read it.
We're going based on stereotypes. That is, in fact, the point of this game.
Yeah, well, I figured I'd lean into it. I mean, why not? Cormac McCarthy. I've heard a lot about Cormac McCarthy, and I know he writes very well. It could be him. Could be Tad Williams again. But I might actually go for Rothfuss on this one because I remember having read Name of the Wind, and I remember that names and words in general are really important in that book. So I'm going to go with Rothfuss. Final answer.
So 1, I did not know you had read Name of the Wind. It was not on.
I don't remember anything about it.
Okay.
Except for names and wind.
Anyway, that is correct. It is, in fact, Patrick Rothfuss. That is from the Name of the Wind. So we are 1 for 1. So let's just stop the count, extrapolate, and say you get 10 out of 10.
I feel like that's a bit too much pressure.
Okay. All right.
That.
We'll aim for 8 out of 10. We'll be reasonable. All right.
Okay.
Question 2 is, who the F wrote this line? I've got forward momentum. There's no virtue in it. It's just a balancing act. I don't dare stop. Is it A, R. Scott Bakker, B, Susanna Clark, C, Louis McMaster Bujold, or D, Ian M. Banks?
Forward momentum. There's no virtue in it. It's a balancing act. I don't dare stop. Okay. And we've got a quote, so it's a character speaking.
Yes, this is dialogue.
Excuse me. Oh, very short sentences. Okay, very short sentences. I'm going to, for no other reason than people tell me that I would enjoy Lois. Lois McMaster. That didn't help at all. Lois McMaster Bujold, because of similarities to Hobb, I'm going to say it's not Lois Bujold because short sentences, there's not a lot of flourish in that. So I'm going to say it's not Lois McMaster Bujold. Same kind of vibe for Susanna Clark. I've read like 2 chapters of Piranesi, and that's not the sort of writing I got from her. It also doesn't sound like something from the tone that I'm aware of from Professor Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. which leaves me with R. Scott Bakker and Ian M. Banks. Of the two, I know Bakker apparently writes really dark things, and Ian M. Banks writes sci-fi. I'm going to go with Ian M. Banks.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
Okay, that is reasonable logic. It is unfortunately incorrect. This is from The Warrior's Apprentice by Lewis McMaster Bujold. This is my man. This is my man, Miles Vorkosigan.
Okay.
Who this was also this was my Discord status for like several months.
Okay.
He was asked how he like wasn't afraid of stuff, and he's just kind of like, I just got to keep everything balanced because Miles is a menace. Yeah. Let's see. Don't worry, Pete was also wrong from his thought, but he was unsure. Okay, that brings us to question number 3. Who the F wrote this line? I have that memory now, if I want. I can see it again and again, but I will be no closer to understanding it. I lift my head up and I howl.
Now, I can see you're trying to trick me here. That is not Robin Hobb. But someone else will have a wolf. Don't think it's Tchaikovsky. Oh, I don't know. Tchaikovsky's written everything. Pierce Brown. That's Red Rising, right? I don't think it's that one.
That is Red Rising.
Who does that leave me with? Can you? Possibly. I've read a couple of short stories by Ken Liu. John Gwynne has animal companions. I have that memory now. I can see it again and again, but I will be no closer to understanding it. So it's self-reflecting. I want to go with John Gwynne because he's the one I know has animal companions, and there's that sense that there is a wolf involved somewhere in the story. But I'm not going to. I'm going to instead say Adrian Tchaikovsky for no other reason than he's written so many blooming things. It could be him.
So I was in fact trying to trick you. I was being like, all right, this could be a Robin Hobb quote. You were right. Of course, it is not a quote by Robin Hobb. I didn't expect I would trick you. I just thought I'd try. I forgot to ask, by the way, is that your final answer?
That is my final answer, Jake.
Okay, and that is correct. This is from Dogs of War by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and this one I was being deliberately mean. This, I think, is probably the meanest question because John Gwynne's got a ton of animal companions. Ken Liu has like some weird short stories from like with animals and stuff. Pierce Brown, the main group of like the military group that like our protagonist is in, are called the Howlers, and they howl.
Of course, yes.
So I some of the questions I'm like, I think someone could get it from this logic. This one, it literally could have been any of them, but you did get it.
It's just a really good guess.
But you did get it on the logic that Adrian Tchaikovsky kind of writes like anything.
He really does.
And yeah, see, Evie got tricked, and I'm pretty sure she has read the book. Have you read Dogs of War, Evie?
Evie has.
See, you gotta go for the one you most medium suspect. Who got that reference?
No, it's you got to use a woman I watched on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and there are unknown knowns. You either know you know it, you know you don't know it, or you know it but you don't know how.
Yeah,
so if you don't know,
that's a much smarter reference than I was going for. I was going for The Office when there was a fake murder mystery, and Dwight was like, "It's never the person you most suspect. It's never the person you least suspect. It's the person you most medium suspect."
Yeah.
All right, that gets us 2 points, which means we only need 2 points out of the next 7 to tie Evie and Alan, which I think means by random chance you are favored to tie Evie and Alan. So if you don't at this point, I do have to say that does mean that for the last 7 you did, or the last 6 you did worse than random chance. But question 4 is who the F wrote this line. Oh, don't be squeamish, man. Oh, I forgot to remove Evie's comment. Oh, don't be squeamish, man. You just have to help him up into the air. It's me who has the tricky part. I know it's cruel, but if he can't manage it tonight, then he's for the choppy chop. Is it A, Rick Riordan, B, Brent Weeks, C, Robert Jordan, or D, Scott Lynch?
Don't be squeamish, man. You just have to help him up into the air. Okay. Now, Scott Lynch is Liza Lockmore. Don't think it's that one. And that there are 3 people involved here. The two people helping the man in the air. Or person. Because it doesn't have to be.
You just have to help him up into the air. So
yeah.
Is it helping a man up?
Doesn't mean he's human.
That's true. That's true.
Robert Jordan. I've never read any Robert Jordan, so I don't know if he's likely. That is
actually the premise of this entire thing. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's likely to use the term "don't be squeamish, man." Squeamish man. No, I don't think so. Brent Weeks, maybe. The choppy chop gets me. Because that, I don't know, there's something very, I don't know, there's a word for it, but it's a specific thing. I'm going to go with Rick Riordan because it's aimed at that slightly younger audience. And I think that's more likely in terms of just using the phrase for the choppy chop.
Yeah.
So, yeah. A.
Is that your final answer?
Lock it in. Final answer.
So, this is, in fact, from Guards by Terry Pratchett. And this was the bonus question. I just opened Guards randomly and looked through and found until I found a line that didn't spoil anything. So this was, in fact, the bonus question. And it was,
yes,
in fact,
Sybil in the breeding pens. Yes, you're right.
I am right.
I didn't miss Hobb. That's all right.
I thought it would be too stereotypical for me to go with Hobb, so I was like, I'm gonna go with the Pratchett one. Yeah. See, and Anita got it, so I think that means Anita might be the biggest Guards fan here.
But Anita to get a Guards question right pleases me immensely.
That is true. Okay, we are now moving on to which of these lines was written by a specific author, which means I got to get my narrating on because I have to read 4 quotes instead of 1 for every question.
Okay.
So my question is, which of these effing lines was written by R. Scott Bakker? It has to be long because he's verbose. Even now, after decades in power fighting for it, losing it, regaining, awake late on many nights like this, various moons in various windows, he could still feel a pleasure, almost sensual, in the deftness of the intrigue, moving pieces on a game board, seeing, even nearly blind, so much further than everyone else. B. But no matter how far his soul wandered from the tracks of the proper, he'd always borne witness to its treachery. He'd always known the measure of his depravity. His confusion had been that of one who watches the madness of another. How, he would cry, how could these thoughts be mine? C. Rely not upon conscience, Farron said, hearing the bitterness in her own voice and not caring. It ever kneels to necessity, and necessity is often a lie. D. Birds are not difficult to understand. Their behavior tells me what they are thinking. Generally, it runs along the lines of, is this food? Is this? What about this? This might be food. I am almost certain that this is. Or occasionally, it is raining. I do not like it.
Okay, I feel like I should be a bird. That's a fabulous quote. I don't think that one is Bakker. I feel like it's between B and C, purely because we've got the words bitterness and treachery and depravity, and Bakker is quite dark from what I know, and yet there's a positivity in the first quote. So I'm ruling out A and D straight away for no other reason than I can.
That is, again, the purpose of the game. So
yeah. So the introspective nature of B is why I'm going to choose that. I'm going to go with B. Final answer.
Is that final answer?
Yeah.
That is excellent logic, and that is correct. That is, in fact, from to The Warrior Prophet by R. Scott Bakker. A is from River of Stars by Guy Gavriel Kay.
I'll see now I'm going to have to read it because that's kind of gorgeous.
C is from Forge of Darkness by Stephen Erickson, which was kind of mean of me to pick for the Bakker one because that's like the most Bakker-like book not written by Bakker. And D is from Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. All right.
I live literally just over the hill from a bird sanctuary.
Let's see who got this. Okay, I think I know. Let's see. Oh, it couldn't be C because it's a woman and R. Scott. Okay.
I will keep that in mind.
All right. Pete, for that logic, you get to be invited for episode 5 of Who the F Wrote That. I think Kyle is the next one. That's the logic we're looking for here.
Yeah.
Okay, that gets us to 3 points. For the first half, which is pretty damn good if I do say so myself.
I'm impressed with myself.
So that brings us question 6, which is this pick which one goes with this author. Are you ready? Evie's going to be excited for what author it is because it is which of these effing quotes was written by Simon Jimenez.
Oh God. Okay.
So this is for your friendship with Evie. That's the stakes here.
Yeah, it's vital that I get this right.
A. Washing her mind of knowledge would be a different kind of damnation, destroying any possibility of salvation. B. They fought for nothing, which is why you see yourself in them. C. The earth is alive. His voice grows harsh, hoarse, faintly hysterical. Some of the old stories are just stories, you're right, but not that one. Or D. You must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Okay. I'm pretty sure D is from Dune. I think. They fought for nothing, which is why you see yourself in them.
Let's see if Evie knows immediately.
Of course she does.
Do I even know the answer to this question, XD? See, look at this. Derri is a fake fan.
Oh dear.
So I think if you get this, you might be a bigger Simon Jimenez fan than Evie. Is how that works.
No, I don't think that's actually humanly possible.
Okay, that is probably
except for maybe his mum.
Maybe. Honestly, that one's even 50-50.
Yeah. They fought for nothing, which is why you see yourself in them. I don't get the sense that anything so direct would come from the pen of Simon Jimenez, which leaves me with A and C. And both are quite lovely sentences. Some of the old stories are just stories. You're right, but not that one. Which might come from the spear cuts through water, and washing her mind of knowledge would be a different kind of damnation. Might be from the Vanished Birds. I've read the Vanished Birds, but only once. And I think it's A.
Is that your final answer?
Look in A. Yep.
Okay. I didn't know you'd read the Vanished Birds, but that is not a quote from the Vanished Birds or the Spear Cuts Through Water. There is a hint here, and the hint is that B does not have dialogue tags. They fought for nothing, which is why you see yourself in them. That is second-person narration, folks, and that is from the Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez.
Sorry, Evie.
Let's see if Evie knew.
Of course she knows.
Well, she said she thinks she knows. Let's see if she was right. I think if we have no comment from Evie, that means she had okay, yeah, she did get it. If we saw no comment from Evie, I was going to be like, can someone call a doctor and see if she had a heart attack?
And this makes me feel better because if she was even vaguely unsure, I'm okay with not getting it.
Okay, that leaves us with the author matching question. This has 4 points available, nearly half of the points for the entire thing. So the way this works, I'm going to give you 4 authors and 4 quotes, and you can try and match them. You don't have to match them all at once. And when you try and match them, I will either tell you if it's correct or incorrect, but I will not tell you what author it was.
Okay.
So The authors are, match these effing quotes to each effing author. And the authors are Louis McMaster Bujold, Robert Jordan. I wrote the number next to Louis McMaster Bujold twice. Formatting issue. 3, Brandon Sanderson. And 4, Glenn Cook. And the quotes are A, there is no vengeance as terrible as the vengeance a coward plots in the dark of his heart. I forgot the period on there when I was copy pasting it over. Oopsie. That's a sentence. There should be a period at the end.
Okay.
B, I watched it rain the blood of a dying god. I crawled through tar that took the faces of the people I had loved. It took them. Their blood became black ink. C, it probably was best that they wanted to stay clear of him. Best for them. He just wished he could have talked a little longer about home. And D, he'd seen men go berserk a few times in the madness of battle. He just never imagined what it must feel like from the inside before. No one mentioned the floating exhilaration, intoxicating as wine or sex.
Okay. I am going to. Best they wanted to stay clear of him. Best for them. He just wished he could have talked a little longer about home. That has a sense of friends. One of them's like, okay, I attract danger. They should go, be clear of me. So, which makes me think of more traditional fantasy. And that makes me think of the Wheel of Time in terms of the options I've got there. So I'm going to say that C is Robert Jordan.
Is that your final answer for C?
Yes.
That is correct. That is, in fact, from Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan. And this gets you up to 4 points, tying Evie and Alan.
Okay. No pressure. Okay. I watched it rain the blood of a dying god. So we've got massive stakes. And that kind of makes me think that it's an epic-ish type thing. We're talking tar, ink. I'm going to go Brandon Sanderson for B. Purely because I know that he does the big epic universe-spanning massive things. And it's talking about a god, which makes me think hugeness.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
B for Brandon Sanderson is correct. That is 2 out of 2 so far on the author matching, meaning if you get the next one, you will go 4 for 4 on the author matching.
Okay. Now, that leaves me with Louis McMaster Bujold, who I am reasonably confident is a more lyrical writer than Glenn Cook, which means the simple sentence is more likely to be Glenn Cook. So I'm going to go A is Glenn Cook. Lock it in.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
A, that is from Shadows Linger by Glenn Cook. That is correct, which means
4 out of 4, yes.
You can say it. That D is from Curse of the Chalian by Louis McMaster Bujold, and you have gone 4 for 4 on the author matching. That man, that is a pretty clear victory, and you didn't even get the bonus question. If you got Guard, that would have been like nearly unbeatable, I think. So that gives you.
I tell you what, I have to thank BookTube for this, because without everybody on BookTube, I would not have any of the knowledge I'm basing these answers
That
on.
is the point of the show. It's having to go based on preconceived notions. So the questions you got right is we got 1 point from question 1. We got another point from question 3. We got our 3rd point from question 5. And then our 4th, 6th, 7th, and 8th point from question 7. That is an 8 out of 10. Is that right? Did I just math wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 got the Bakker quote. 6, 7. I counted wrong. 7 points. That is still.
I'm really happy with that.
Wildly high. I can't count, which is a little bit awkward. Okay, that is the new high score. Alan, you are no longer the champion by default. There is no tiebreaker that can make 4 higher than 7.
Wow.
Even I don't think even Anitha can dispute that one.
I think that this is a testament to BookTube.
Well,
And
I think that means that you're
attention.
the real BookTube fan, and that I guess Alan and Evie should watch more BookTube videos.
Clearly they don't love everybody as much as I do.
All right.
Clearly.
Would you like to give a monologue to the people and speech after your glorious victory and how
I'm
you will
actually
take?
instead going to apologise to the Terry Pratchett estate, because I should have recognised that, because I have been talking about Discworld this morning, and I should have realised that that quote is, of course, Lady Sybil talking in the breeding pens of her dragon breeding establishment, the Sunshine Sanctuary for breeding dragons. And I feel really terrible that I missed that, because obviously that's just shame upon my house. So, but I kicked your asses.
Well, presumably at some point there might be a contest of champions where the highest ranked people do some kind of verse against each other. I've been working out on how that would work, and you can always get the bonus question for that on your return. I think the way it'll work is like each person will have their own list. I know I'm just saying this at the end of the episode, but this is what you guys can tell me if you think this would be fun. And if one person, like after they guess and before I say if it's correct, the other person can say like, I want to say that they're wrong and it's something else. But if they get it wrong, it's minus a point. So you better be sure.
Yeah, I do like
that's what I'm thinking of doing, probably between whoever ends up with the first and second highest score of like the first 10 or something.
Nice.
All right. Thank you, chat, for being here. Thank you, Derri, for participating in Who the F Wrote That. And I just like to say, so my mom watches my videos and she's like, this new thing you have is completely ridiculous. Like, it's just
I love it.
See, it is. Some people can do better than Chance. That is a 7 out of 10. That is a passing grade in school, folks. That's that's like a C+. Like, that's pretty good. That's like if you go to a test that you didn't study for, and that's what this is. This is like crap. I didn't read the assignments at all, and you get a C+. Pretty happy with yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Have a good day, everyone.